I'll take that as no.
Is she for real?
Would you want to? I'll take that as no.
I have to think about that.
I know people in the business. I know people that would strap you to their chest.
I'd like to see that.
And out
Can
you go.
we do a show
Oh,
on
what
that?
the heck? You know, life is worth living. I'll try anything once.
Next episode.
Hey, man, I'll be a friendly face in the airplane. You'll have company all the way up to
Yeah,
altitude,
okay.
man.
Would you mind my screaming as we're going?
Oh, no, I scream like a frightened child every time.
Excellent.
So now you've got some other equipment with you also.
Yep, got some jumpsuits
Okay.
here. And I basically brought two different types of jumpsuits. There are various disciplines of skydiving, and you say, well, what do you do, you know, when you're falling through the air? And one of the things you can do is called relative work, or RW, and that's what most people think of when skydiving is that belly to earth position. And when you're in free fall, you can maneuver just like you can under canopy. In fact, you have a lot of interesting moves you can do. And so what folks tend to do when they're on their bellies is they try and fly various formations, and then you change formations in free fall. This suit is designed to do that. It's made of fairly slick nylon material.
Right.
It's fairly tight through the arms. It's got what's called grippers on the arms. It's got grippers on the legs. And then it's got
So
what's
that's for
called-
people to grab
That's
onto?
for people to grab onto. Yep.
Okay.
And then it's got booties, and the booties they go over your shoe. They're not a requirement, but what it does is it gives you a lot more maneuverability. It's
Like
a bigger surface
big
out in the wind.
Nylon foot pajamas.
Basically, it's footy pajamas for big people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't have a flap in the back though.
No.
'Cause I would need a flap in the back.
Yeah, but the zipper actually goes down far enough to where
Because you know what they say. First you say it, then you
then
do
you
it.
do it. Mhm. You betcha, and you wouldn't be the first.
Say what? What are you talking about, Jake?
We'll cover that on another show.
So,
Well,
sorry.
are these like so colorful, and you're so colorful for a reason?
Well, as far as the shirts are concerned, I always tell people there's two types of folks out there that wear tie-dyes, hippies, and skydivers. And I haven't had enough hair in a long time to claim, the former, so I must be the latter.
Ah.
But yeah, we tend to be a colorful group, and the colors are
have to
sort
be.
of individual expressions. I always tell people my first jumpsuit was black and neon yellow so that you could get out of my way when you saw me coming in the sky. This jumpsuit's a little bit different. The name of the company that makes it is Panic, and so it's called a Panic suit.
And this is lighter than the other suit.
Lot lighter, not as slick, and this
Right.
is for what's called free flying.
Okay.
And free flying is basically flying your body in any other orientation than belly to earth.
Okay.
Free flyers will fly on their back. They'll fly, when you first learn free flying, which is what I'm doing, you learn how to fly in a sit position, which is exactly how I am right now.
Okay.
The difference is if you imagine the footprint of your body against the wind in this position versus on your belly,
Right.
a lot less area,
Right.
which means
Faster.
more unstable, faster fall rate.
Right.
Belly, 120 miles an hour. Free fly, 150.
So how do you train for that, Craig?
Very carefully. It's like anything else. You learn the easy. I shouldn't say the easiest thing. Relative work is not easy. It's extremely difficult. A lot of subtleties to it. But you learn that first because it's the least dangerous of anything you can do in the sky. And then you move on to free flying. Free flying, a lot higher speeds, you can get in a lot more trouble. And the way you learn it is you learn the basic position and then you go up and you just try it. And
There's not a lot of room for trial and error here.
well, there is because you can, if you get into a mess in free flying, you can always flop to your belly. So
Okay. Well, let's hear more about this after we come back from this break. Stay with us. And welcome back from the break. That was another interesting episode. So tell us about the people that you jump with. Are they local? Can anyone do this? How does this work?
anyone can do it. And one of the cool things about jumping, I said earlier that what got me into this was aerobatics, and I love doing both. There's a lot of similarities in terms of it really takes time to. If you want to get good, it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of focus in a highly dynamic situation. One of the big differences between the sports is how social they are. Aerobatics is a solo sport. I'm going to go fly tomorrow. If you hear me over the Eastern Shore, see a little red airplane up there, that's me, okay? I'm all by myself. I practice by myself. The only time I see other people is when I go to the airport or possibly when I, go to a competition. Skydiving, you're with people on the jumps, on the ground. We hang out afterwards, we've been known to party a little bit, just a little. And it's really, really social. There's a lot of help in the sport in terms of the more experienced folks bringing up the younger guys and girls. So, the idea is it's more of a community. So, that's...
So what's the name of the is it a company that you jump with?
No, the folks I'm involved with are, it's a jump club, Maytown Sport Parachute Club, located in Maytown, Pennsylvania. And it's just a small jump club, 2 Cessnas. Basically, we do tandem jumping and we run static line jump courses.
Now, what's tandem jumping?
Tandem jumping is, a lot of folks have seen those videos where you've got one person hooked into the front of another person. Well,
Okay.
The person in the back is a tandem instructor, very
Okay.
experienced. They're there to make sure you're good to go.
Okay.
So that's the jump that James is going to do.
That's the jump that you're going to do.
And the person in the front is screaming on the way.
Exactly.
That's
And so
you.
you can hang out for the ride without having a whole lot of responsibility.
I'm just here for the
That's
football.
right. You're just there to be gripping and grinning, man.
Okay, all right.
Videographer maybe 3 feet from you, giving you high fives, making sure you're smiling, all that good stuff. So yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people giving you high fives when you get on the ground. It's always a good time.
All right.
I got to tell you, there's nothing like the biggest formation I've ever been in was 23, and given that the world record is over 300.
Wow.
It was pretty cool to be
Yeah.
with 23 people in free fall. You get a lot of energy when you got all those people moving at 120 miles an hour, just smiling and having a great time.
Now, obviously, you can't talk to each other in free fall. So, how do you communicate?
If you have, when you're doing training, they set up standard signals. So when you're with an instructor, he will give you hand signals. And a lot of times you'll see him doing things like this or like this, and that means to do things with your legs. A lot of times I used to have an instructor who said, if I do this, it means put your legs out, and he goes, if I go like that, it means really put your legs out. I was like, okay, so no problem.
What is the hand signal for? I want to go back into the airplane.
Yeah, out of luck.
So see, I couldn't do it. My fear of heights, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do any of those things where you're just like not enclosed in
See,
a
why
plane
do you
or
have a fear of
something.
heights, though?
Because you can get hurt, James.
No, you can't. The height is not the problem. The fall is not the problem. It's the
ground.
sudden stop at the end.
That's right.
That's the problem.
Sudden
okay?
deceleration
Yes.
syndrome is not good. It
No,
doesn't
it's
matter
not.
what you're doing. Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, I couldn't do any of that. Have you done hang gliding or any of those other sorts of?
I've never done hang gliding. The closest I've done to hang gliding was flying sailplanes, and there are similarities. It's an airplane with a rigid wing.
Right, but it has no engine.
But it has no engine.
Right, I've seen those. Okay.
And so you're actually relying on rising columns of air in the atmosphere to get you the altitude, and if you can't get into it, then you have to
What
land.
if there's no rising column of air?
Then you land.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, that's why.
Yeah, and hang gliders are similar. You launch a hang glider, on foot, and then they can stay aloft as long as the atmosphere will essentially allow them to.
Right.
And the difference being is that you don't have a rigid wing. A little more similarity with a skydiver once he's under an open canopy. You've got what you could describe as a semi-rigid wing, but there's no superstructure in there. So that would be the main difference. When you're under canopy, you're coming down.
So we're here with Greg, and now, Greg, we want to talk about some of the stuff that you're doing. And actually, I wanted to ask you, how long have you been a pilot also?
I started flying when I was a kid, and I had my private pilot certificate when I was 17 years old.
Because you can get a pilot's license before you can get a driver's license.
16.
Yeah.
Yeah, is when you can get the pilot's license. So around the same age, you don't see too many 16-year-olds, but I've trained them. I came up. I'm a flight instructor as well. Also an airline transport pilot. Have most of the powered aircraft ratings that you can actually get your hands on. Did some flying with helicopters, but never professionally. Got close to about 8,000 flight hours, and I've flown everything from, 55 horsepower, J3 Cubs through Airbus 320s, which is 180 seat passenger jet, and kind of everything in between. So. Yeah.
So you seem very relaxed and like very excited at the same time about this, and you can tell it's passion. But I want to hear about the scary moments. You had to have had at least one.
Well, yeah, you do. It's interesting. In my flying career, people always use that. Haven't really scary things happened, and when you look back on it, and you see that light that comes on that says the airplane's on fire. Yeah, that's kind of scary. Yeah, that's kind of scary, especially if you can't do anything about it. But normally, you're way too busy at that point to really think too hard about it. And if you're the type of person that's going to freeze up and not do anything, then hopefully you typically aren't going to be in that position to begin with. Okay, skydiving is kind of similar. Aerobatics is kind of similar. You got a lot going on, and so if it starts to go wrong, it's going wrong fast. You've trained for it. To me, what's frightening is being in a position where you have no training and you have no ability to help yourself. Okay, we train you in skydiving, and one of the things we always talk about is the safety aspect of it. March 11th, we're having our annual safety day, where we spend the whole day going over all the different safety procedures, practicing in the hanging harness and pulling all the handles and doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do.
Now, I did I hosted a piece for the FAA, and one of the stats that they had was that 90% of the problems are usually caused by pilot error.
Here's what's interesting. That number, from my understanding, is a little bit high, and I hear various numbers, 75 to 80% pilot error. And in any accident, doesn't matter what you're talking about, it could be in your car, whatever. If it's pilot error or anything else, there's always an accident chain. And they talk about breaking the links in the chain. You break one link, the accident doesn't happen. Flying, skydiving, driving your car, it's all the same thing, right? So in skydiving, very interesting statistic. Typically, people don't get hurt or killed from equipment malfunctions. The equipment is very, very good. There's been a lot of engineering that's gone into a lot of backup systems. Even though the pack looks pretty, nondescript, there's a lot going on there. About 75 to 80%